Hello, welcome to the Heated Debate, brought to you by Emirates. Guys, let's just get straight into it. We've all got smiles on our faces. James, England's performance last night, happy with that?
Yes, really happy with that. Job done, right? I think we kind of all went there and we're thinking, there's not much to gain. I know that sounds really strange, but we're expected to top the group, right? We were expected to top that group. We were expected to win that game against Wales. But it was, I think, if Gareth Southgate had sort of drawn or written down what he wanted to occur in that game, maybe there's elements of it that you can kind of pick holes in the performance, but like, we're through, guys. We won the game 3-0. We've scored a couple of goals. The front guys have all scored goals now. Like, lots and lots to be positive about. I sort of walked away. I'm sort of one of those that, like, when the goals go in, about 4 minutes later, you'll still see me going like that. And because it's nice to get it out, right? We had breakfast this morning. It was great, guys. And I'll be honest, we've had the same breakfast for quite some time. But it tasted different, didn't it? I'm happy. I'm glowing. Life is great. We're going to go see Messi later on today, and we are in the round of 16. Yeah. It's on, guys. It's on.
Zach, thoughts on it? Because plenty of positives.
100%.
It feels like everyone's just got a smile on their face after that, and that's what England does to you.
Yeah, the second half was so much better. I think going into that game, it felt like there was so much pressure in England. And I don't know, I think previously I said before, kind of, just as speaking normally, about how, like, comparing, say, like Argentina's pressure with how, like, it feels like the fans are all on top of Messi and Argentina to do well, and like England's pressure is really different, because England's pressure kind of feels like it's maybe from the media more so, and from like social accounts and so on and so forth, really applying pressure, maybe like criticising Gareth for maybe doing the wrong thing or doing making a decision that maybe isn't quite widely accepted, i.e. maybe not starting Phil Foden. And in this game, he started Phil Foden. He did very well. But yeah, no, first half I think was a bit rough in terms of not.
You weren't sure, were you? Come on.
Yeah, we got half time and it was 0-0, and there were people being like, "Oh, we just need a draw to top the group." And I felt like, realistically, England should be doing better than that. Again, especially against that Wales team, the way that Wales were playing, also the side that England had. And then the second half came out, was much better. And Gareth said as much. He said in the first half we dominated the ball 100%. We controlled the game. But we didn't create enough chances. And the second half, we definitely created a lot more chances.
How many of us were calling for Phil Foden?
How are you feeling?
I mean, I wanted to see Phil Foden in this tournament. After that game against the USA, so many people were calling for him. We finally got to see it. Yes, it wasn't in the 10 like I wanted, but he still was on the wing. And then listening to what Phil Foden said after the game, Gareth then switched it and he put him across onto the left side, and that's obviously where the goal came. And it feels like he creates so many moments of magic. There were still frustrations, I think, with some of the players around him, maybe not getting the ball to Phil Foden in the areas that he can create that magic. But when he gets on the ball, everyone comes alive because they don't know what he's going to do. And I think actually England players don't know what he's going to do. And all of a sudden, he's found a gap, he's found some space, the ball's another one of the players, the attacking players, and there's a goal. And I think he's such a special talent, and everyone can see it, including Gareth Southgate.
We've been so lucky to go to so many games here. And I think the thing that's really resonated with me is how quick you do stuff. And the teams that have looked really good, it's been France, it's been Brazil, where they just do things that little bit quicker, where it takes one touch instead of two. And I think that is one thing that you will get with Phil Foden in certain moments, is his ability to just do something a little bit quicker.
Well, one of the things that I thought was really impressive, but you saw from Foden and also from Rashford, was that ability to just drive at the man. Go at the man, make that Wales defender have to commit and cause an error. And Phil, especially a couple of times in the first half, a lot more in the second half, where he would drive at the defender at the full-back and cause 3 or 4 different Walesmen to come towards him, and that also just creates space for the other guys. We saw it from Marcus Rashford, a great ball over the top for the third goal, where by Calvin Phillips, who was actually very impressive when he came on, drives forward, takes the ball into the box, a couple of step-overs, and manages to find the back of the net. And I just think seeing that, I felt like we didn't see that in the first half. And I don't blame them either, because I think there is a part of, like, that first half, Wales were really deep. I think they kind of went in with, let's go for it in the second half. They knew the score at half-time as well, that USA were winning, and so they would have to kind of go a bit more forward and leave a little bit more space for the English to get in behind. but we definitely improved, I think, creatively as well.
It's not just going forward as well. I mean, let's talk about the defence, because Wales didn't actually manage to have a touch inside England's box in the first half. Possession-wise, England dominated. It came up on the screen during the game that England had 73% of the possession. I think everyone just went, yeah, we are dominating this game. And I think Harry Maguire, obviously John Stones as well, looking at the two of them, you think, right, they're building a solid partnership right now. Then when you got the introduction of Kyle Walker coming back into it as well, it just felt like, actually, we're starting to see England's defence doing things which we've seen at times, and it works. It really works.
Well, obviously, like, every game sort of poses questions, and you're trying to figure out what the answer is going into the next game. I think, look, Stones, Maguire, set in stone, isn't it? Pickford, set in stone. Kyle Walker comes in, you're thinking, 1, is he fit? 2, is he better than Trippier? 3, is he better than Trent, who came on? And I actually quite liked Trent as an attacking substitute at times. I think that's something that we can use. But Kyle Walker did look really, really sophisticated, and he played a bit of a different role, which I quite liked, where I thought, and I still wonder if we're going to go to a back 3, but if we stay with this 4, what I liked about him was he didn't stay in that position of a fullback. I turned to you, didn't I, during the game at one point? Yeah, because he kind of, normally when you play fullback, or people play fullback, they sort of stay in their zone, right? But when Wales kind of got the ball, especially in central areas, he was at them. There was a real press that looked even more impressive in the second half. But specifically when it comes to Kyle Walker, it's going to be interesting to see what happens in the next game, because you've got Trippier maybe on the left-hand side, who could come in and play, and Luke Shaw is probably the one player that I still feel like a lot of people are not convinced with.
I think it's tough with Luke Shaw, though, because he's in a position where he doesn't really have a proper competitor for his position. It's not like there's Ben Chilwell, where he is very much another left-back, an attacking left-back as well, who wants to go forward. And so
that's not really acceptable, though, is it?
I can
yeah, because I hear a lot of people saying this competition thing.
And I do get it, but then even when Trippier came on, like, it just, because you are not naturally left-footed, and that's not, he's a professional player, his left foot is miles better than any one of us, that's for sure. No, arguably probably stronger than our strong foot. But I think there
it definitely is to me.
But it's definitely like, I think it's tough, because with the way, there's just little things I think you notice when Trippier's at left back, whereas when Luke Shaw gets the ball, it's that opening the body to go down the wing, go down the touchline. Whereas Trippier,
every single
but I think it's the same thing. But I think it's the same thing with Trippier though as well. With Trippier, because he's right-footed, he opens up his body to the right, and that's just naturally going to be a bit more conservative and pass the ball back to Harry Maguire or whatever it might be. I think. We mentioned it with the previous 2 games that Luke Shaw, he is definitely getting a lot of eyeballs on him. But that's because in the Iran game, England was so good and he maybe wasn't as great. And then actually, I thought in the USA game, England weren't amazing, and he probably wasn't as bad as people were making it out to be. It's weird with Luke Shaw as well, because during the Euros he had such a fantastic tournament going down that left flank. I still think he's being told maybe not to be as attacking. And it'll be very, very interesting to see what happens in, say, the knockout football, if we go to a 3 at the back and he's then playing left wing back and he's being given that free roam to kind of.
I would disagree with that, because when you look at where the players are on the pitch, in terms of that midfield 3, which we'll get to, I'm sure, Jordan Henderson kind of stays on that right-hand side, and in the other games that's occurred as well. In this game in particular, there was an option for him to get on that little bit more, and I still didn't see that energy from him. This is one problem I do feel like we have with England, is that he's the most balanced and natural on that left-hand side, but Trippier, with his knowledge of the game and the vision that he has, even as a right-sided player, is he a little bit above him? And the fact is, there's no other options apart from those 2. And I wonder if at some stage we could fall down to that. He's got to be better for me. He has still got to be better.
Though, that Luke Shaw is the player he is, and we can't maybe change him. I'd rather Luke Shaw.
But there's different versions of Luke Shaw. That's what's frustrating me a little bit, because there are times where he looks great, and there's times where he's just not totally at it. And I want Luke Shaw who's totally at it. And yeah, if we're being fair, which we want to do in terms of critiquing the squad, because you're right, like. If you want to be negative about it, it was 0-0 at half-time. We didn't really create the chances. Southgate said that himself. In terms of the sort of release of that pressure to be 1-0 up, comes from a free kick. Is that going to happen every single game? Probably not.
We're not being negative around here. No, we're not going to be negative. No. Let's talk about Jordan Henderson. I mean, everyone was talking about, will he play? Will he take over for Jude Bellingham? Solid performance. I'm not going to lie. I think that he does a really good job at what he's great at. And I think that in that position there, when you've got Declan Rice, when you've got Jude Bellingham, actually Jordan Henderson shores things up even more. You can allow Jude Bellingham to go forward, to sit back. Jordan Henderson runs his socks off. I think he ran over 10k in that game. And actually, he gets into different areas which you don't expect Henderson to do. And the highlight of his game for me, he didn't get the ball, but he made this run down the right wing. And he got so frustrated that the ball hadn't been played to him. And I just thought, he's trying something. Yeah. He's actually actively trying to do something to create attacking play.
As soon as we lose a game, though, that 3 will be seen as negative. That is one thing that I'm not saying that's the case. I actually think I thought Declan Rice looked better because there were other players that would come and get the ball, so it wasn't all that pressure on him. And again, with the press, the amount of times we created stuff from winning the ball in the middle, and that's because, like I say, Kyle Walker, Jordan Henderson, Bellingham, Rice, and the other thing about Bellingham, like you turned to me at one point and you were like, he doesn't stop running. Like, he is relentless. We thought when we were doing the video, we thought he might, yesterday, that they might even drop him just to kind of rest him. Boy doesn't need resting. He really, really doesn't. He's got so much energy, and he was let off the leash a little bit, which was really impressive in the second half. But that is something that will get thrown back at people if England lose in the next game, if they play with that 3.
You can play, I understand. But the thing is, Henderson wasn't really that conservative in his play. Like, they still was attacking. So I think you can play a 3-man midfield of that 3 and still kind of be attacking. I think we kind of saw that yesterday, and it definitely happened a lot. I think you saw it gel a lot more once we were 1-0 up, and the pressure was off to do things. I think we have to give a huge amount of credit to Southgate for his selections. Because you mentioned it there, that we actually thought, I really didn't want him to drop Jude Bellingham. I thought, 19 years old, had a great game against Iran. Not the best game against USA. Like, I just felt mentally or personally, if I was in that position, to get dropped in the 3rd game would feel like a real I've not done enough or whatever it might be. And I actually think that's maybe not the best way to do it. And Gareth didn't do that, and you saw that then against Wales with Bellingham coming. Like, it wasn't the level it was against Iran, because he was immense in that. And I actually think maybe he had a slightly different role than he did. He was a bit more attacking in this sense. Especially without Mason Mount there, he was kind of having to fill in what Mason Mount was doing, especially with the pressing previously.
Does that have to be the 3 then, do you think, moving forward, guys?
It depends what you want, because you could play a 3. Like, Mason Mount isn't necessarily just a 10. He can play 8.
He can.
And you can play him for someone like Jordan Henderson.
Calvin Phillips threw a bit of a spanner in the works. He came on, and everyone was probably thinking, right, he's not played a lot of football, but here he is, and he offers something completely different to Declan Rice with the through balls, the long balls that kind of split the defenders at times as well.
And in terms of that energy, is Declan Rice a better sort of midfielder in that Jordan Henderson role than Jordan Henderson? There's a few problems there. I think the bottom line is that Rice has played every single game in that position, so he's probably going to stick with him. But you're right, Southgate was brave in that point, in terms of not just going totally with exciting names, going with a midfield 3 that's going to function.
Would you start Rice against Senegal, or would you play Calvin Phillips? You were looking back there then, like
I needed a Anyone got the answer? I think I would. I think I've got something in my own head that I need to probably get rid of a little bit when it comes to Declan Rice.
You think a bit more defensive.
I think I've just been. I think in terms of that player who's going to come and pick up the ball. He had 95% pass completion yesterday, so he did fine, but I think there were other options which made it a little bit better. Again, I'd like to see... I just feel like sometimes he's a bit locked in there, like, because he's got so much energy. He's brilliant at driving with the ball, so it's one where, like, is the best 3 Phillips because he's more comfortable getting the ball there, and Rice because he can drive with the ball, but then you lose the leadership of Henderson. I trust Gareth. Whatever Gareth says goes.
I mean, you bottled it there, haven't you? I mean, you didn't give a good answer, but we don't know, do we? And it'll be interesting to see, because it's a great problem to have, but why would you change it? It feels that. And I want to talk about the strikers, because why would you also maybe change that front 3? There's argument. Obviously, we know Southgate, he likes Saka, he likes Sterling, rightly so, and Harry Kane up top. But when you've got the likes of Phil Foden, when you've also got the likes of Callum Wilson, who's shown time and time again that he can come in, hold play, and actually his assists have been unbelievable. And Jack Grealish, another exciting creative spark. Zach, those front 3, would you have them? Would you change it? What would you do for Senegal?
Who's the most undroppable?
Kane is always going to start. It's Harry Kane.
Okay.
Even when Harry Kane hasn't been amazing, Harry Kane has the ability to win.
He's not 100 though. He's not.
I don't know. I thought Harry Kane, out of all the players yesterday, probably the one you didn't notice the most was Harry Kane, and arguably that is due to possibly his fitness. But I just still think, I think if you're thinking from like a Gareth Southgate point of view, if you drop Harry Kane in knockout football, you're going to be eaten alive, and you just can't do that. And so I think he's 100% going to play. Rashford has put himself into starting now. That game yesterday, like I've never seen a player just whack a ball. Like the way he, as much as Marcus Rashford in that England side, like when he gets into that box, it feels like he could just put some fantastic power onto it. Attempted a bicycle kick as well in the first half.
That's fun, yeah.
There's always
did miss a chance in the first half. His first half wasn't that good.
Yes, because Harry Kane actually does really, because it could be a completely different game as well. If Rashford scores that one early on, you're going, Harry Kane gets this. It is a good save. He does really well, put through on goal. And you know what? I think fair play to the goalkeeper, maybe rather than Rashford.
Who do you drop then? Because Saka scored 2 in that first game. Raheem Sterling. I mean, we talk about leadership with Henderson. He's got the most caps in the squad. Who do you drop for Rashford? Is it Saka?
I think it all depends on. How the team look at Senegal, and are they going to be a deep block? Are they how are they going to play? Because if you want, and how England want to play. If you want to be playing over the top, then Marcus Rashford has to play. He doesn't mind running onto the ball. We saw it several times. The Calvin Phillips ball over the top onto Marcus Rashford, and then you can have someone like Phil Foden who can drop in and collect the ball. That's fine. But then if you want 2 players that can collect the ball and drive it, Saka is probably the guy that you want in that squad. Right. So I think it very much depends on what England want to do. I've watched Senegal play and against Qatar, and I didn't think they were amazing. I think obviously they've got some names. Missing Sadio Mane is a huge miss. They do have still players like Ismail Assar and Kalidou Koulibaly as well at the back, who's a strong defender. However, England realistically should be looking to dominate that game, and I think having a mix of someone on one wing who can drop in and also one wing who can go behind, and also like Gareth did, swapping them mid-game.
That was a really smart move from Southgate, really because if you think of that free kick goal, that comes from Foden getting on the ball on the left and driving at the heart of the team. Foden said in his interview afterwards that he was a bit annoyed with his own performance in the first half, and when he got the ball in the second half, that's what he wanted to do. He wanted to just drive at the ball, and it was special seeing those little feet move. Like, it's really difficult. I think it's 2 of 3. I think Sterling, sadly, has sort of. I mean, actually, look, from an England fan's point of view, to have Sterling, who's probably at the bottom of that depth chart now, is pretty astonishing. I think it's between 2 of 3. I think Rashford, Saka, Foden.
Yeah.
The one thing you can spin, and again, I wonder if Southgate's very good at sort of stripping back stuff, is Rashford scores an unbelievable free kick. Okay, give him credit for that. He does miss a great chance in the first half. He does miss the chance to get himself the hat-trick. There is that brilliant
goal.
Yeah. And Saka.
That's a negative way to look at it, though.
No, it's not, mate. It's not negative because it's about picking 2 of those 3. And I think what I do like is that the runs that he makes. Sterling wasn't making those runs, so for me, Sterling is kind of out of the equation now. Yeah. I think it comes down to do you think Saka's a better player than Rashford, or do you just sort of enjoy this Rashford redemption arc and just let it run?
You could play all 3.
Well, is there a world where actually we have Rashford through the middle, possibly? Well, it's happened before. He didn't quite work for him at club level, but we have seen him. He can.
And drop Kane?
Well, maybe not.
You can't drop Kane. You can't drop Kane.
You drop Henderson. Phil Foden finally plays as a 10.
I think he wants the safety net of. Let's start with a clean sheet. Let's have a control of the back 4. And again, that's another thing to say is like if we are going to continue with the back 4, those 2 centre backs need to continue to be really confident on the ball. So and Southgate has managed this so well. Maybe we should get on to Southgate because he has managed this game really, really well and this tournament really, really well. Yes, certain things kind of fall into place. You go bang, bang, 2-0. You can make all those changes. But even those changes, it's like, okay, let's get Trent some minutes. Let's get Walker some minutes. Let's get Phillips some minutes. The sort of the status of the squad is really, really good. I think he's made brave or smart or humble calls at every single turn as well, and he deserves huge credit for what he's done, really, because I think even that USA game, that was, for me, I've said that's a mindset. At some point, if we're going to give all the credit to the players, we also have to give them the critique when they don't step up. And I think Southgate has been exemplary in the changes that he's made so far. Apart from being a bit quicker with the subs in the USA.
Maybe. I mean, when it looks at that performance last night and actually the way it was managed, the fact that he swapped the wingers around, this is Gareth Southgate. These are things he's worked on. And Zach, I feel like I mean, I think I do it. I think we do it. We forget that actually this man has led us to a semi-final. He's led us to a final. He knows what he's doing. And he knows these players. But time and time again, we kept questioning when it goes wrong. But when it goes right, do we praise him as much as we should?
We definitely don't. I don't think we do. Like, this is the manager who, realistically, since England won the World Cup back in 1966, has taken us as far as we've gone before. It's been incredibly impressive, and it's a manager who I don't think many people expected originally when he first came in to do as well as he did. 2018 was a surprise. I think 2020 Euros was. I think everyone thought England would do better. Don't think people kind of really expected a final, and we managed to do that. And we were leading as well. It's unfortunate the way it ended up, penalties. You know, that's just how football works out. And at this World Cup, I feel like at times, just the way we are as being English fans, I think we are brought up to be pessimistic. You know, the noughties, having the players that we had in Lampard, Gerrard, David Beckham, Wayne Rooney, so on and so forth, and to have not maybe had the success that we should have had, or at least the finals that we should have got to, the semi-finals, whatever it might have been. And so we kind of got used to being like let down by the England team. And so even now when we kind of talk about England, or we look at England and the future of England, we kind of have that mentality still to be like, you know, let's be negative. Like, what Gareth Southgate, he's got this amazing player. But he's picked this amazing player instead. Like, what? That's not what the consensus is around everyone else. Like, this is a guy who, time and time again, every time his back is up against the wall, he proves himself. And I think credit does have to go to him for that. Look, we're just out of the groups. Still got to do a couple more games to really kind of reach.
And we can play better.
And we're
scratching the surface a little bit here. We still can be better.
Right then, let's rate the performance then out of 10. England, and also we said we don't give him the praise. Let's do that then with Southgate. So first off, England, out of 10, what are we giving them?
Against Wales?
Against this, just the game last night?
Yeah, 7.7. 7.7.
Very specific.
Well, I feel like 8 is a really. I feel like 8 requires both halves to be strong, and we've already spoken about the first half. I think the first half we could have been better, but the second half was really, really good. And so, yeah, 7.7 for me.
I'm glad we don't have the paddles. We've done that one, James.
Yeah, 7.75. Yeah, I think you're right. I think let's not get carried away, but let's not enjoy it as well. I think in terms of how it could have played out for Gareth Southgate, you know, in terms of the game and stuff like that. Honestly, it was a 10. So, apart from maybe a 9, just because Harry Kane didn't get on the score sheet. But you've got a clean sheet. As I say, the front line have all scored or assisted goals at this stage. You got everyone minutes as well. From that point of view, yeah, it was yummy, wasn't it? It was good. It was nice. So, but performance, first half, you're right. We can be a little bit better. But, you know, we can only move forwards, and we are. We're into the round of 16. It's a good time.
And Gareth Southgate, what are we giving him out of 10? 8.25?
8.7.
I mean, he could have maybe changed things earlier on in the first half, maybe, do you think? Or was that just Wales were good, or England were frustrating and they were trying different stuff?
I think Wales were really deep.
I think there are elements of it being the first half of a elite football match. That is a lot of it. And Wales were like, let's get to 60 minutes. They were bad, but they were like, let's get to 60 minutes and then see what we can do. I think he was spot on, Southgate. Look, as a manager, you're not going to get every single decision right. But I think if you can get 8 or 9 right, I think that's a good manager. And I think he definitely got 9 out of 10 decisions right. I'm not going to list them now. But I give him a 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10, right? Well, we'll take that.
What about you?
I said 8.25, didn't I?
8.25. So, very specific. How specific can you be with your ratings in the comments down below? I mean, that's the question.
Beautifully brought us on.
Thanks,
drop us a like, comment, subscribe to the channel as well, because we want to hear from you. What would you rate England's performance last night against Wales? We do move on to the next round, to the round of 16. Senegal next. We'll be talking about that. We are here every single match day. Fingers crossed for that one. We've got a few more days to go ahead of it. This is the Heated Debate, brought to you by Emirates, and we'll be back tomorrow.